on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the NBA Slate Starter podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Emac as we break down Wednesday's, check this out, 13-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo. We are in the middle of Sixers Fest 2021. That is exactly what this date is. It's Sixers Fest. I have like 4 or 5 of them in every lineup. Seems to be all right now. They're up 2 on Milwaukee going into the fourth quarter. We'll see who goes where. But I need Kevin Huerter to do things now. I can't believe I just said that out loud. Emac, how's your night going?
It's always hard to tell. Last night we did the show and you said, I can't have this. Who was it? Memphis and Minnesota or whatever game went into overtime, the first one. And you're like, I can't have this. And you were so excited. And then at the end of the night, I fell asleep. And then I woke up and I'm like, what happened to my currently winnings? I was like almost 2.5xing and I barely broke even. Oh, the Lakers game went into overtime too, well after I was asleep.
Okay, so we're going to talk about some of these things. So we had the super ceiling of Steph Curry from 2 nights ago for when you're listening to this from what would be Sunday night. Is that right? Or is it Monday? Yeah, it would have been Monday night. So Monday night's game. We're recording this Tuesday night for Wednesday, of course. But Steph Curry, 80 spot. I was winning everything and then I wasn't. So that's fun. But then Anthony Davis I had all of, and I had no LaMelo Ball running it back because LaMelo Ball, it's almost like he's good or something. He's 10K today, by the way, on DK. Thought that was a fun little anecdote to start off. But we are going to have quite the slate in front of us here for tomorrow. I don't even know where to start with some of this stuff. We're going to fly. We're going to go position by position like we normally do. But right from the get-go, is there anything you want to say about this 13-gamer other than buckle up?
It's almost harder to have more games than this. This very well could be the first or second 13-gamer we've had. I don't think we've had any more than 13, so it's going to be a wild one.
This is larger than the Sunday NFL main slate. So just to give it a little context, holy mother of God. So let's get 2 things out of the way right off the bat. I think this is important. One, there's a ton of injury news that we cannot possibly account for recording this the night before. Make sure you're watching all the content, the NBA strategy show, alongside of this, the process show with Josh Engelman in the mornings. Make sure you're watching Deeper Dive live before lock. I'll be on that with Greg Ehrenberg once again, taking you guys all the way up to lock, and we'll be hanging out for half an hour afterwards as well. So just be ready for that. We'll have plenty of injury news and we'll be able to talk about that. And secondly, you better like your lineups because it is almost impossible on DraftKings, especially FanDuel because of how soft the pricing is. And then Yahoo, where the pricing is the best. DK is really strict for the most part, even for a stars and scrubs slate, but there will be value. It's bound to happen. You can't possibly on one of these slates not like your lineups. You should be in love with them and they should be projected really, really high because it's going to be a really, really high scoring slate no matter what. So I want to get those 2 things out of the way, but with that said, we got 13 games to get to. We might as well start immediately. Emac, you ready to go, my dude?
Let's ride.
See, it's almost like Rimpac's there. Oh, he had a nice little chime at his little Stanford. Oh, I'm going to tell everybody how to do math at Stanford. Look at all my screenshots. No, I love you, Ryan. I'm just kidding, of course. Steph Curry on the top end, 11-7. I alluded to it. I just want to throw it out here, okay? 50 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds, 86.75 DK points. That was a remember me game. He had more points in that game than the Houston and Pelicans game before it combined. So I'm just saying he's overpriced, but you're paying for the ceiling. You're not paying for the median projection that he's going to have tomorrow. Luka Doncic 10-4, Russell Westbrook 11-3. Finally, the guy gets priced appropriately. James Harden 10-6, Damian Lillard 10-1, LaMelo Ball 10K. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Got 6 guys at point guard who are 10K plus on DK. Who is your favorite, Emac?
Well, this is the highest salary Steph Curry has ever had in his DFS career on DraftKings at 11-7. Sorting on
I don't know if it's appropriate, but what it is it's a good thing because I will say I still expect him to be relatively unknown. And you're going to have studs that you can get for 2, 3, 4% tomorrow. I'm not sure if he's one of them coming off of 86, but I bet he's lower owned than what people think.
Yeah, it's just going to be a function of that. I'll be shocked if any of the studs are more than 10%. Mathematically, it's really not going to work that way. The chalk there'll be 1 or 2 people that unearth themselves as amazing values that are 4,500 or 3,500 on FanDuel, 3,500 on DK, and they'll be 20%. But this is going to be a spread out slate. So just we're going to have the luxury here. So the key thing is finding the matchups you like and maybe looking for a little bit of synergy. There's no need to force it today. And as you said, there's no reason you shouldn't love your lineups. If you're putting anybody in your lineups that you have question marks on, you need to do it differently. There's no reason not to. So at the top here, we're really splitting hairs. And where the salaries are, I would start to look at someone like DeJounte Murray, who proportionally is actually getting a discount compared to these guys for his recent performance. We're seeing the former University of Washington stalwart crush this year. He's going to flirt with the triple. Yeah. He's going to flirt with the triple-double all season. He's one of the best rebounding guards, and he's rebounding at the highest rate of his career. His assists are up. He and Derek White, they have the keys to the offense. There is no more Patty Mills. And there's obviously no DeMar DeRozan. So it's these guys. Yeah, Bryn Forbes is back, but he's not really going to do anything. And Walker isn't going to do a whole lot either. So these guys are just going to get all the usage. It's a good matchup against Sacramento. So I would start to look at someone like that. Now, we don't need to force the differentiation in, but all of a sudden I'm getting a $2,000 difference between DeJounte and Steph Curry. Realistically, their median outcome is not that far apart. It's not $2,000 apart. Steph clearly has the better upside, but we're looking at Murray, who can easily get 50 fantasy points tonight. So I'd start to look at things with that lens. I'd be a little hesitant towards someone like James Harden, who's disappointed all year, sort of changed his game up. He has a different role with the team. They're figuring themselves out this year, so I wouldn't want to go to him. I think LaMelo Ball is going to have a nice matchup here against Ja Morant. That'll be a fun one to watch. I don't think we need to play those guys together, but I think it's a solid spot to go to. LaMelo here, and then as I get down towards the bottom, you've got Portland, who's on a back-to-back. That should bode well for Booker and Chris Paul, and actually Portland is traveling down to Phoenix, so I think those guys are kind of interesting there. Again, they're goosed at 98 and 9,000. So while everybody is air quote too expensive on DK, it's all proportional and it's all going to work out in the end. But here's where we start to look at, you need to start to compare people to each other rather than what you think the appropriate dollar value is.
Yeah, I'll have zero LaMelo Ball interest tomorrow, which is weird because I think people know how much I love him. 10K, he just went off. He played 42 minutes in an overtime game. I have zero interest in it whatsoever. I know it's John Morant or whatever you want to say. Terry Rozier is back. And so at 6,300 for him, he's climbing up in minutes here as well. He had 29 real points there. And of course, LaMelo Ball can fill up the stat sheet, so he's not scoring dependent, but his ceiling at 10K is surely scoring dependent. I won't project him with Ish Smith being there for more than 34 minutes. And you have him there. You, of course, have Kelly Oubre now, who's starting to play more minutes here. That's more usage as opposed to a guy like Cody Martin or, Jaden McDaniels is somebody, even with PJ Washington continuing to be out there, is playing like 9-10 minutes. Not high usage guys, but Kelly Oubre surely is. So I'm thinking LaMelo Ball, probably a strict stay away from me. I would rather go to John Morant for 100 less in that same spot there in that same game. He's a different player here right now. No Dylan Brooks out there, no J-Val. That's a huge part, and we've talked about it for the Pelicans, how that's kind of affecting them and some of these other peripheral players, whether it's Nickeil Alexander-Walker, whether it's Josh Hart, who's still too cheap. But I'm saying that there's definitely some guys that J-Val is affecting, and now him not being there, John Morant, rebounding rate up, everything up, guys going completely nuts, shooting the ball at the best clip of his NBA career, bar none. So if that continues, you're looking at a different player. So I like him. DeJounte Murray, 9,700. You have to look at that kind of the same way too. Everybody's out of town. It's all him. So I like that call as well for you. Probably steering away from 9K Chris Paul against Portland as much as I want to, even with his assist rate being sky high. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 8,900. This is kind of an intriguing game because it's two, for lack of a better term, apologies to our sponsor Yahoo, but dog shit basketball teams in the Pelicans and the OKC Thunder. I think that makes for an intriguing fantasy option where some of those guys can jump, but 8,900 for Shai, God, that is just such a big tag. I'd much rather find the money to get to some of those super ceilings on the top end. And, even a guy like Damian Lillard 10-1 there. You don't have to worry about it because if you're playing multiple sites, he's 8,200 over on FanDuel. LaMelo Ball 8,700. So just talking strictly about the ceilings of those guys, that's kind of where I'm leaning a little bit. But I definitely like your DeJounte Murray call. I'm right there with you. This mid-range has been disappointing. Lonzo Ball, I think people are bashing their head against a wall, but I don't know why people are rostering him constantly. 6,600, there's a million stars in Chicago and nobody's been hurt. Hard to make that a thing. I will say, though, Derek White, 6,400. Eventually, he's going to shoot the ball well. Eventually, it's going to happen. He went over 10, over 4 from 3. He just really hasn't been there of late. 6,400 is definitely an overpay, but, somebody that I think is bound to put up 45, 50. I don't know if that's enough on tomorrow's slate, but I at least want to point him, Terry Rozier, Devontae Graham, Jordan Poole. They kind of all fall into that bucket of I don't think I'm going to land in the mid-range, but if I do at point guard, that's kind of where I'm looking. How about you?
Yeah, I think that's just nails it across the board. The FanDuel pricing is super relaxed looking at that. As I dip all the way down to the bottom part of D Harris, just trying to see what seems appealing. And I would say, what the hell's going on with Ricky Rubio? How is he goes to a team that has established guards and all of a sudden he dials the clock back, something he hasn't done for the last.
He's going to be crazy chalk tomorrow, I think. Yeah.
I think we just be very careful of that. He was like 8 of 9 or 7 of 8 or something from 3 in the last game. The Washington Wizards, they much like the Lakers, because now they have half their starting lineup as Lakers or former Lakers. They've revamped their entire team. They're not playing as fast and they're not as bad on defense, and they're actually reasonable on defense here. And that I think is something that people are still not catching up on, and being a Wizards fan here by default in the DC area, that's something I've noticed because I do like to watch their games, and I'm back to enjoying the team, which I disliked the team for a while. I loved them for a while. I hated them when I moved out here. So I'm very, very mercurial in my fandom, but it is the team I like to watch. So that I think has been better. But I want to point out, I almost said Winston Garland. No, it's his son, Darius Garland. Winston Garland on my first ever fantasy basketball team back in 1989. There we go.
God, did they have cable TV then? I don't know.
Yes, barely.
You were not streaming NBA League Pass. This I know. For Emac,
the internet, Al Gore hadn't created the internet at that point. The internet was invented after I was in college. I had a real job. People are
going to get your Al Gore joke. I obviously do, but whatever.
I had a real job for 3 years, Eric, before I had email.
All right, that's fair. Looking at the rest of the FanDuel point guard position, just kind of jumping over there. Yeah, Ricky Rubio, he's going to be pretty chalky, I think, period. 5,500 on FanDuel, 5,200 on DK, so buckle up. That'll be a bumpy ride. Cade Cunningham, everybody's favorite, is back in our lives. He's going to play 30-plus minutes. Whether the ball goes in the basket during the course of those minutes, I don't know what to tell you, but 5,200 on DK, I think he'll still garner quite a bit of ownership, but 4,800 on FanDuel, that's a really nice number. I mean, he's priced along Davion Mitchell, Kemba Walker, who doesn't even exist in the real world anymore, but did play 26 minutes, 22.1 there. I just don't find myself wanting to punt very much at point guard. It's going to be a lot of Ricky Rubio if you want to go that direction now that there's no Sexton. Cade Cunningham, 4,800. And Jalen Suggs if you want to kind of really find a flyer on the bottom end. But for the most part, these studs are so underpriced on FanDuel. Steph Curry, 10-2. Luka Doncic, 10K. James Harden, 9,600. DeJounte Murray, 9,500. Russell Westbrook, mega chalk, 9,400 incoming. John Morant, 9,100. Just pay up at point guard, right, Emac? Oh, Damian Lillard, 8,200. What are we doing here?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely think that's the way to go. And again, we can't be forcing the sort of stuff. Oh wow, I didn't realize that Sexton had a torn meniscus.
Oh okay. Yeah, no, that's what I was learning too.
I was like, oh, is he in the health and safety protocol? Somehow I missed that injury. Like, okay, that's an actual one that's going to keep him out sidelined for a while there.
Ricky Rubio's like my dad's favorite player from the Timberwolves forever, and he was so sad when he left, and then he was so happy when he came back, and now he's like, if you don't get him on my basketball team, I'm disowning you and not helping you with your wedding. So I went and got Ricky Rubio like a good son. All right. Yahoo, it is Steph Curry, $50. Luka Doncic, 47. Russell Westbrook, 45. James Harden, 45. Lillard, 41. DeJounte Murray at 40 looks nice. LaMelo Ball, 38. And John Morant, 38 looks nice as well. So a little bit more understandable there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander jumps off the page to me at $33. Don't play him on DK. Play him on Yahoo. What stands out to you on Yahoo, Emac?
Yeah, as we continue down the pricing list just a little bit there, I think Kyle Lowry at 23 is rather interesting here. More of a boom bust type option. The minutes have been there. How he played 37 minutes and scored exactly 0 points against Denver in his last game, that's pretty hard to do. But the game prior to that, he had 51 fantasy points. He had a triple-double. So tournaments, but this whole Miami thing's kind of weird. Even if they lose Morris to a suspension, it's not that big of a deal. We'll talk about Denver when we get there. But as we continue down the list here on Yahoo, TJ McConnell, I think, is kind of interesting going against Denver. He's had 30 plus in 3 of his last 4. He is 19 on Yahoo. And then I think Patrick Beverly at 15 on Yahoo is okay. I think he's also 43 on DK. That's a solid price.
Live looking, Kevin Huerter, 10 real points, 1 assist to start off the game. What a hero. What a hero of the people, Kevin Huerter. Getting that Atlanta late swap. It's almost like late swap matters or something. I don't know. Obviously, I had like 4 Sixers in every lineup as well, but Kevin Huerter was like the one piece that I pivoted all of my Clippers plays to him. So far, so good. Oh my God, Philly's beating Milwaukee 100-99 right now. I don't know what to believe anymore, but give me something to believe in here at the shooting guard position on the top here. On DK, moving our way over there, Devin Booker 9,800, Bradley Beal 9,500. That number keeps coming down, and eventually he's going to go Super Saiyan as well and have a big ceiling game at 9,500. Kind of appealing when, he's shooting guard only, but so many point guards, shooting guards, you can kind of flip them around. But DK, a little bit more stringent. If you look at the point guard position there, Devin Booker, the only guy above 8,900 there who has dual eligibility. So maybe Bradley Beal 9,500 can fit into some lineups there. DK realized the error of their ways and priced up CJ McCollum, who was 7,200 today. He'll be on a back-to-back at 8,500 today, so best of luck getting there on that one. But Anthony Edwards, 8K. Zach LaVine, 7,600. Fred VanVleet, 7,600. I think I'm going to be landing there a little bit more at shooting guard. Talk to me about it, Emac.
So Anthony Edwards is the one that stands out. Of course, everybody knows that Fred Van Elite is my favorite player in the league, right up there with Bradley Beal and Kelly Oubre Jr. Some people asked, they said, Kelly Oubre is your 3rd favorite player? Well, there's my first 2. So it's very, very exciting there that I root for guys that are marginal players. So it's more fun that way when they do well. It's so not always expected for them to do well. So while I like Fred VanVleet, this is not the matchup to play him in. It's a tough time to go to him without Pascal Siakam and no more Kyle Lowry, etc. It's him and OG Anunoby kind of doing everything, but they don't play fast enough, and they don't have a 3rd or a 4th option to take the heat off of them. So just your mileage may vary on those guys. So I'd probably stay away from them. I think, but Anthony Edwards is someone that I've been rather impressed with. He's been playing some heavy minutes this year, but he's done so much more this year than he did last year. The rebounding was off the charts for about a 2-week stretch there. That's kind of fallen off, but in its place has been the steals coming up, and across the board, more often than not, he scores over 25 fantasy points than when he fails to score 20 fantasy points, which is actually impressive as well. So I think he's someone that I would definitely want to look to. The rest of the guys, there's nobody that really is standing out. They're all kind of just solid options. I don't want to point at too many and say that's the guy I'm excited about, just because it's like a kid in the candy store. You're just staring at everything. It's like, how can I eat all of these? I want everything. And you can only fill so many in the bag. So sadly. Sadly.
Milwaukee's on a back-to-back. I don't want to play Grayson Allen on this slate. What should really be apparent is that you need to be selective about who you're going to be playing in this spot. We're going to have a bunch of injury news. Maybe somebody rests for Milwaukee that'll be on a back-to-back. Maybe somebody rests for Portland. They'll be on a back-to-back here as well. Teams like that where you can maybe find a little bit of value just by default there. But I'm not going to be playing like a Pat Connaughton and shooting guard, a Grayson Allen. As much as you might have been like, oh, I watched them play well today, don't do that. Just go by the projections and understand that it's not going to be there. I'll say on DK, 4,400, Jalen Suggs. Dude's been bad lately. Gary Harris is now back in the mix, and he's going to start playing some more minutes, it looks like here. Franz Wagner's been the better of the 2 rookies, which is just madness. Franz Wagner's the guy that let Michigan down there to try to get to the Final Four for the old Red Pack co-host of the Slate Starter. And I tell you what, the man let him down there, but my God, has he been pretty decent in the NBA so far. But Jalen Suggs, 4,400, I could see him shooting on top of a tag like that. But I'm going down to Garrett Temple. In the event, 3,400, I played him last time. I had a bunch of Garrett Temple. I had a bunch of Josh Hart, had 100% Josh Hart in the last slate. But Garrett Temple, 3,400, has played 34, 26, and 35 minutes in Brandon Ingram's stead. Played really, really well. I don't expect 30 and a half, but on a Stars and Scrubsy slate, happy to be clicking on that button. How about you?
I think that's perfectly fine. And you mentioned kind of the injury news.
Ingram's out.
Yeah, if Ingram remains out, and it's weird that we don't have really great news on him, but some of the other places where there's a lot of injuries, Boston's, they're without Jaylen Brown still. He's going to be out for another week and a half. The Toronto side there, I mentioned Pascal Siakam. There's a decent chance he plays tomorrow, but they're without Khem Birch. So there's a lot of holes here. You've got the whole front court for New York is questionable right now, with the exception of Julius Randle. They get to go against Milwaukee, who's in that back-to-back. You've got Bobby Portis just running through every former team he's ever played for in the last week here. So he literally has revenge in his heart against everybody. I like to say the remember me games. For Bobby Portis, it's revenge games across the board. So we've got a lot of moving parts here, but when it seems like we're tentative here, there are 20 options at each of the positions that are viable. They're all going to kind of look about the same tonight. It's what happens as the news breaks throughout tomorrow, after shoot-arounds, after we get the first injury report and the second injury report around 5 o'clock. Those are going to be the important things that really start to move the needle for us. But there don't seem to be too many slam dunk spots at the moment.
Danny Green in the closing lineup. Way to go, Doc Rivers. I hate you. You're the worst.
He wants his veterans out there.
I just want to punch things. All right, shooting guard over on FanDuel, Luka Doncic, Jimmy Butler. So Jimmy Butler, we can play over there at shooting guard. That's useful. Russell Westbrook, for whatever frickin' reason you can play at shooting guard. That's useful. Bradley Beal, 8,900. Devin Booker, 8,500. Apparently, he's got a permanent tag of 8,500. So I definitely need to be playing him there. DeMar DeRozan, 8,500, same number. Zach LaVine, though, 8K down there. Fred VanVleet, 8,200. Anthony Edwards, 7,900. That's the first one that sticks out to me. The other one that sticks out to me in a bad way is Cole Anthony, where now the guy is starting to show a ceiling here from time to time where it's like 50 plus. And is Cole Anthony a different human being this year? Probably as well, but there's enough guys like Jalen Suggs, Gary Harris getting back there. He's not a high usage guy, but just minutes to be played there. I don't know what I want to do with Cole Anthony. If he's going to be like 1%, I'd play him, but I doubt it. So Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 7,600, going to be crazy popular at that number. And Carousel Vert, 7,300. D'Angelo Russell, 7,300. Those three specifically, how do those look to you?
No, I think those are all good, especially as we get down the pricing list. I also want to throw out, we talked about him the other day, and he disappointed, but I think Cody Martin is someone that you kind of keep an eye on, just to see that could be a team that has moving parts. We're down there looking at Cade Cunningham again. He's on the fence, or I'm on the fence about him, but you got Anthony Simmons. There's a variety of options down here. It's kind of hard to tell. Again, more stuff is gonna pop here, but those would be the type of players, those 5 guys I mentioned, the random somebody sitting or the random somebody doing something else, all of a sudden they become a top 10 option at this position, and it's just hard to tell. If we're looking at the purity of it, and all at the top, we've hit on pretty much every guard there is. It's absolutely wild that Devin Booker and CJ McCollum are 2 of the 3 people that do not have multi-position eligibility on FanDuel. Everybody else is shooting guard, point guard, or shooting guard, small forward, and these guys don't. They are the ones that should be combo guards amongst this list. It's mind-boggling. FanDuel never change.
That is correct. I hate them. No, I don't. They're fine. But they're not Yahoo. They're not our sponsor, Yahoo. All right. Speaking of our sponsor, Yahoo, I was actually just looking at my lineups over there quick. So I just lost the pricing. Way to go. Hey, I'm back. There we go. Over there at shooting guard on Yahoo, Bradley Beal, 38, Devin Booker, 35, Zach LaVine, 34. I mean, for me, I'm going to be looking to punt more than not. It looks like at the shooting guard position. I mean, Anthony Edwards, 33 isn't a punt. But that's good. Will Barton, he's at least priced up over there. Will Barton was crazy chalk. And we'll be touching on him at the small forward position coming up next on the other sites. But he's shooting guard at $26 next to Derek White. I think I prefer Derek White in that matchup. But Nickeil Alexander-Walker, $22. Your boy is starting to come down in price here, and he will. I mean, he played 38 minutes without Jones, without Ingram there last time out, so that looks nifty. But there are so many different options down here to be looked upon with Garrett Temple's $11, Malik Beasley's $12. It's kind of like maybe not a punt position, but on shooting guard on Yahoo, looks like the mid-range is pretty nice. Who's sticking out to you there?
So same guys on the mid-range, but I agree. Looking even at this is a spot where we can save because we're going to get at least relatively early news on what, does Josh Richardson become an interesting play depending on who's in or out for Miami at $10? Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Not Josh Richardson or who?
I'm sorry.
Celtics, you mean, or Miami?
I meant for the Celtics. I was
for the Celtics. Okay, I got you.
These guys change.
Dude, it's late for you. It's 9:40. You should be in bed.
I get up at 6:40
for me.
Yeah, with Jaylen Brown out, it makes sense to start to look at him at $10. Right. And he's someone that can kind of do a little bit of everything. He's someone that I like there. He's more of a Yahoo only. If we look at going up a little bit, you mentioned Malik Beasley and Garrett Temple. Those guys actually are most definitely in play at this low price. And then I think you could kind of squint your eyes a little bit and kind of say, you know what, Alex Caruso at 13, that's not the worst going against Dallas. But I think I'd like to save at this position. If you look at the mid-tier, you've got the Jalen's there, Green and Suggs, respectively, at $18 and $17. They're very much in play. At the top end, it feels like these are somewhat luxury options, and I like what they're doing here on Yahoo because Bradley Beal tops the list at 38, Booker at 35, and then you're down to Zach and Anthony Edwards at 34 and 33, respectively. You're not breaking the bank, but all of a sudden you put in a couple $33 players, and your Yahoo flexibility goes down real quick. And that's something that if you're especially, and I like to hand build on Yahoo because I like to make a lot of decisions there. And I think it's fun to build 2 or 3 lineups there. And I like to build using the player pool from my DFS building blocks article that's free every day in front of the paywall. Comes out around lunchtime is when it's published. And in there, I cover all the plays I put on there are good for all of the sites, and they're what we call DFS building blocks or the core plays. These are always going to be relatively good plays. Better value options may appear, so I don't screw around with the value options, but the core plays I choose are always going to be good plays no matter what. It's a lot of fun writing up the article and then building my lineups from that article, or kind of hint, vice versa. So that's kind of my player pool. So it's a lot of fun on Yahoo. But I will say I've learned that when you start plugging in a couple $33 players, you run out of salary cap pretty quick.
Yes, you really do. And Furkan Korkmaz is 2 for 17, 1 for 11 from 3. So I am sad, but you know what?
I had 92% on Yahoo or on DK tonight of Furkan.
I have more. We're not going to talk about that. But here we are. You know what's nice? Is that we have this. If you're a new Yahoo user, you didn't lose because you can get for $10 right now. For $10. That's all you have to do is deposit $10 onto Yahoo, and you will get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum completely free to you. You'll also have to enter random contests, but with the lowest management fees, or rake if you want to call it that, around the entire industry, there's no better time than now to go over to Yahoo and play in those contests. So get in there, put $10 on. They'll send you a thing. You send the thing back to us, and boom, you have your free month. Every single sport we offer behind the paywall. Now's a really nice time with college basketball back in swing. Matt Gajewski firing up the projections, which are free for right now too, if you want to check them out. But they will not be free for much longer because I need them behind a paywall so I can win money and, kind of continue to crush along with the Awesemo community. But for now, we're being good people and just throwing those out in front of the paywall. So take advantage of that. And stop guessing, start winning. Join us, but join Yahoo now. Cool. There we are. Back to small forward on the top end of DK. Kevin Durant, 10-9. Went for a big game there. Still ended up being not useful considering 4 other studs outpaced him on that slate the other night. Steph Curry, Russ Westbrook, Anthony Davis, LaMelo Ball, done. Jason Tatum, 10-4. It's a big number for him. Jaylen Brown continues to be out. I expect Jason Tatum to be playing a lot of minutes. And against Toronto, Scotty Barnes is a dude. Scotty Barnes can play some deep, but I don't look at individual defenses. This is Jason Tatum we're talking about here. 10-4 might be a nice contrarian piece. Jimmy Butler, 9,600 against the Lakers. I think both of those dudes are going to probably be under 5%. I might have some interest in going their direction. Small forward, maybe a contrarian pay-up spot for you, Emac?
No, I'm liking. I'm liking the mid tier here a little bit better. We can get.
I agree, but I just was saying, if you want to get different, they're studs.
Absolutely, and nothing wrong with them. I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to save my dollars here as I'm building my mythical lineups the night before. But I think when we start to look at that mid tier with like a Harrison Barnes, I know I was not doing cartwheels for OG Anunoby, but he is someone that when you look at everybody else that's small forward eligible, he sort of becomes a little bit interesting. And then Gordon Hayward, another one who has he'll have his moments. He's going to take 15 to 18 shots. Probably 18 is kind of on his upside, but he is someone that when he's healthy, he can contribute across the board. He's finally healthy for the first time in like 4 years. Enjoy this moment because something will befall him. It's just how it works when you're Gordon Hayward. Do you know he's been in the league for I think 12 years now, 11 years? It's been a long time.
Well, think about the Butler half-court shot that almost went down against Duke. That was when I was in college. So, I mean, it's been a hot second. I'm 34, and good Lord. That feels like forever. That was my, senior year? Senior year of college.
I'm sure you've seen highlights of Christian Laettner, Bobby Hurley, behind the half-court shot, Grant Hill pass.
Oh, Duke. Yeah. Were you there?
I was in college for that.
Oh, that's sick. I would have been like 3, but continue.
I can't after that. I was there for the...
Okay,
the Tarkanian days, the running Rebels.
Oh yeah, UNLV. Run. What was it? Run DMC. Whatever the.
Well, run.
I can't remember.
That was Golden State.
Run TMC. Was that TMC. UNLV?
No, it was Chris Mullin. It was Tim Hardaway and Mitch Richmond for the Golden State Warriors. Right around that same time, for what it's worth, though.
Run TMC was consisting of Tim Hardaway Jr., Mitch Richmond, and Chris Mullin. There we go.
Yes, with Golden State.
Yeah.
Yep.
Golden State. Okay, I had something else. Yeah, Running Rebels. There we go. Continuing on. Before I sound like an idiot any further than I already do. Will Barton, 6,300. That looks nice. Norman Powell's up to 5,600. That's not very nice. I mean, I'm going to try to be punting in a lot of these spots, but, Cedi Osman down there, maybe he ends up seeing an influx of minutes. He had 31 the other night, 0 for 5 from 3. Still saw the minutes shooting at like complete garbaggio, but somebody's got to put up some offensive output. And Ricky Rubio, not going to be the guy to average 25 a night, just throwing it out there, 40 or whatever the hell he made, knocking down 8-9 threes in Madison Square Garden the other night, but definitely going to be somebody, whether it's Jeff Green on the bottom. He ended up getting the spot start, played 34 minutes, didn't go nuts. Even a guy like that, I'm willing to roll out to try to get some studs on this slate. Anything else at the cellar that you might be interested in?
I'm going to give everybody a gift because when we get out of football and I've got more time, I'll write the boom bust section to talk about how we use the leverage and how we use those tools in the DFS building blocks article. Last year, I wrote bad things about Cedi Osman 3 times. Those were his 3 biggest games of the year. I will, for you, our loyal audience, I will be Xing Cedi Osman out of the player pool tonight. He's going to be guaranteed for 25 fantasy points. That doesn't matter.
What if he starts?
I'm taking him out of my player pool, so he will have a good game. That is my gift to everybody for Wednesday.
See, working in DFS, working in sports, working, in this kind of thing, I find mentally that sometimes I end up like really having to follow through on my takes because I want to be honest, and being transparent is almost more important than something like that. If Cedi Osman's in the starting lineup, you're allowed to have a little bit. I'm just throwing it out there. You don't have to remove him from your player pool. I want to defend you so that you don't have to like get there. There's no other value under 4K that looks remotely good. And then you're like, oh shit, why did I promise the people I wouldn't play him? Because God forbid you win a GPP. God forbid that's the day you win the $15 and you say something like that. So I'm going to defend you before you even need to be defended. Here we go. To the top end of small forward on FanDuel. Giannis is there, 11-5. Back-to-back. I don't care. You should be playing Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's very, very good at the game of basketball, and you should have lots of interest there. Oh my God. I have like the absolute stone cold nuts, except for Furkan Korkmaz, who's the literal worst human being ever. I think most people do. So maybe I shouldn't be talking about it. But Kevin Huerter just going nuts right now. It's beautiful. Kevin Durant, 10-5 there. Jimmy Butler, 9,700. Jason Tatum, 9,500. That's an advantageous number to be getting him. Miles Bridges, weird we didn't bring him up. I didn't see what his DK salary was, but 8,300 on FanDuel. A little less appealing to me. All these guys in Charlotte. Terry Rozier is going to start being a problem. I can feel it coming in the air tonight. Hold on. Harrison Barnes, 7,400. Carousel Vert, 7,300. Scotty Barnes, probably the guy that's my favorite so far that we've listed off. Talk to me about small forward. And Nikola Jokic, suspended for a game. That's really important. It just hit the wire as we were talking.
All right, so we'll good, because we'll get to the front court. We'll talk about the Pacers a bit. We'll talk about the ripple effect throughout the Nuggets. But of course, that was just one little piece of news. With 26 teams in action tomorrow, there's going to be a lot more of those, not suspensions, but pieces of news that are going to cause a value to appear or better options. So Carousel Vert is kind of interesting here. It's all going to depend upon how his legs are doing and how his shot is going down. Since he has returned in his last 4 games, we'll give him a respite on his first one. But he has 22, 21, 18, and 19 field goal attempts. That is pretty solid. It will have been 48 hours since he last played. He will be playing at altitude, but this is a reasonable game here where it looks like he'll probably get up 20 shots. So I think he is someone who's interesting. If we are looking on FanDuel here to spend, I think it's Tatum at 9,500 is where we would like to go. You mentioned Miles Bridges. I had a ton of him the other night. I think the field goal attempts are there. It's just, you're right. There's with Rozier healthy again, and whatever the hell they're going to end up doing with Caleb Martin and Kelly Oubre, and those guys all are willing to take shots. Those are shots that don't end up going to Bridges. That could potentially cause a problem, especially if he's not rebounding out of his mind. So a few tentative parts there. DeMar DeRozan, kind of interesting going against Dallas here. Dallas plays their unique non-style of defense. Like you, I don't worry that much about individual defenders, but there are a variety of options on Chicago that Dorian Finney-Smith could end up dealing with between him and Zach, et cetera. So I don't think it's necessarily a detriment when you've got a bunch of options. It's sort of like when you have, facing a healthy Kawhi, it's sort of like whoever gets hot and it's a crucial time, he's going to go guard. If it's their power forward, their small forward, their shooting guard, or their point guard, he's going to go guard that person for a few possessions and just sees what happens, right? That's not Dorian Finney-Smith. There's only a few players that actually can do that, and most of them aren't going to worry about it outside of the playoffs or a really close game in the fourth quarter. But that's is just basketball talk to file away, because we get asked that one constantly, that what do you do about this defense, or what do you do about that, or this second unit's so bad, how are you factoring that in? Guys, when we do our projections and when Awesemo does their projections, they go through and they're looking at the usage and the different combinations and the rotation patterns and all that stuff, what the opponents are going to be doing. They're looking at the pace, they're looking at everything. If we start influencing it, we're double counting, and you don't want to do that. Now, if you want to influence where you are against the field for leverage purposes, that's absolutely what you want to do. But at this point, most projections are relatively good. But if you ever want to see just a hint at what the Awesemo projections are doing, check out Josh in the morning with his Rise and Grind show, because the process show, today he had a great part. He broke down what he was doing with Philadelphia and what he was doing with Milwaukee, and it was a perfect example. He said, I'm just going to start over, I'm going to break down the whole rotation. And I've saved that because I get asked in our premium Discord all the time, which I'm happy to answer the questions. What do you do about these projections, or what do you do about this matchup? My answer is I don't do anything, because it's already been taken care of for me.
Right.
And and by the way, once you put in 10% randomness or uniques, if you're building 150 lineups, you're overriding whatever's happening in the projections anyway. You're just building some outcomes. So the point being, coming back to all this, there's so much to do in the tools. There's so much heavy lifting that's already being done for us. That's why when we're looking at this, we're trying to get a read on it. But when there's so many options, it's hard to tell. It's absolute analysis paralysis. And it's funny because I haven't had a show with this many games on it. And I'm just sitting here going, they're all pretty
then
good.
We'll just break it down. It's much simpler. So really what it comes down to, the thing that I changed the most isn't the projection. It's changing the minutes, which is going to change the projection. Like for me, I might have differences of opinions based on something I see in a rotation. ours do the best job of anywhere in the industry. I don't think it's close, where I have to just manually tweak a few things a day. A lot of it is comparing, contrasting certain opinions of certain players. Also seeing, did foul trouble happen? Did something happen? And sure, that's factored into the projections. And, most solid projection systems are accounting for that. But either way, for me, this slate became a lot about Denver. And it became gigantically about Denver. We're talking about Nikola Jokic, the most involved player on just about any team in the entire NBA in every regard, rebounding, scoring, assisting. And he's not going to be playing tomorrow against Indiana. I assume, based on the news we just got, that he's going to be out. I'm assuming he's suspended for tomorrow's game, and they'll just use it, get it out of the way, unless they challenge it and there's something like in the NFL where you're able to post that suspension. I'm going to talk as if Nikola Jokic is out tomorrow, which makes every single guy insane.
Yeah, so few times in the NBA can they ever challenge it. Appeal. Thank you. Baseball, they do it all the time.
Just go on with that.
He's going to be out. Yeah, he's going to be out.
So looking at the Denver game, small forward there, Michael Porter Jr. also out, of course. PJ Dozier, $10. The chalk. That's weird to say on Yahoo. I'm looking at it, $10. He will be chalk. There's going to be so many guys that have to play there. And, maybe you want to make it Tatum or Butler to spend up for there. Carousel Vert, $30 in that same game environment is something where, as those minutes have started trending up for him, he played 33 and 30. Disappointed, I think, the last two compared to what people expected after a 42.9 Yahoo fantasy point game out two before it. And now the minutes restrictions are basically gone. I got to be looking at him as somebody at $30 maybe to get to, especially with how much Denver interest. I'm going to have him, Sabonis, having some of those other pieces just to have as a little bit of an insurance policy, giving them a bump in that same game. Yeah, it's 13 games, but you're freaking taking Nikola Jokic off the floor. It's going to be a huge talking point of this slate. And now a lot of the other plays became super low owned that we're going to be talking about that aren't Denver, because Denver is going to be Aaron Gordon. It's going to be Jeff Green. It's going to be especially, most of all, Will Barton. Will Barton's going to be the crazy chalk at small forward all the way around. Let's jump to power forward, though, now and talk about some of the guys that will pay up for. Giannis Antetokounmpo is 12-3 on DK. Anthony Davis, 11-1. Two massive ceilings. Now you really got to go on it, but both have proven to be pretty effective. I think I still prioritize Giannis. Even on this back-to-back, they kind of limited his minutes a little bit here against Milwaukee. Do you have a preference between those two? I mean, those are gigantic tags, but I don't care. I'm going to get to a lot of both.
I think I would go with Anthony Davis here. And it's a little bit on the back-to-back, and it's a little bit that LeBron's out. I think Anthony, and a little bit for the discount. But I think they're both fine. But I would, if I only could play one, it would be Anthony Davis, and those would be kind of the reasons, because there are other ways to spend the money today, and I think that's an important thing to understand. Now, if the field gets there and it's 50% more for Davis than it is for Giannis, then you're starting to look at different things. But I don't think that will be an issue at all for this one here. I think Sabonis becomes an excellent play. Not having to, he's only going to have to battle his teammates for rebounds. He's not going to have to battle Jokic. Jokic is leaving behind a 33% assist rate, a 25% rebounding rate, and 30% usage rate. Those are massive voids. His defensive rebounding rate is 37%. That's like unheard of. And it's 10% higher than his career number and 10% higher than he's done any other year. That's a big number. Now, so I think we're going to look at Miles Turner. We're going to look at Sabonis. Those are going to be some interesting options.
No doubt about it. Utah up 14 here. I just finished up on my late swaps. We got 1 minute to go before the lock of that Emac. No pressure. Just get those all in for yourself. Power forward here. You can just look at Denver. I mean, it's going to be a ton of Denver here. No way around it. I have a ton of interest there. They're going to start in the early window of games here. Where did Denver go over here on DK? I will find it here eventually. No, it's at 6 p.m. my time. So 9 p.m. on the East Coast. Aaron Gordon, 5,200. Very, very popular piece there. Jeff Green, 3,400, another guy. J. Michael Green could enter the starting rotation alongside Jeff Green. I kind of actually expect that, I think. I'm doubt Zeke Naji or Bol gets the start there in that spot. So you're looking at Jeff Green and J. Michael Green. Make sure you have some differentiation there. That's what Fantasy Cruncher's there for. If you're hand building, make sure you identify exactly which green you're clicking on in that spot. But, I'm not here to babysit. You'll be able to figure it out. You're all adults. So I enjoy probably playing whoever starts in that entire Denver starting lineup. And I would expect both of them do. So that's going to be my take there on that. Going to FanDuel in the top end here. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11.5. Anthony Davis, 10.8 there. Kevin Durant, 10.5. Julius Randle, 9,500. That's a ceiling to pay up for there. I just saw that he's going to be donating $2,200 for every three-pointer he knocks down. I hope he knocks down 15 tomorrow. That would be great. $9,500 there for him. That's a nice number. Domantas Sabonis, 9K. Now, that price tag is starting to come down. Miles Turner's definitely affected him. That assist rate has been plummeting, and I mean plummeting this entire season. That's going to be something to keep track of as well. But in this Denver game environment, I don't mind getting there. We'll see if Brogdon ends up in or out here in this spot, but he's expected to be back after his illness. So Domantas Sabonis, 9K, that's a super contrarian spot. But what sticks out to you on power forward on FanDuel?
So it's going to be Miles Turner and it's going to be Sabonis. Now, this is the one thing I want to remind everybody about with Miles Turner. How many games do you think he has in his career above 25 points?
Like
not fantasy points, but actually NBA points.
The way you said that, I'll say like 5.
Yes, it's 9. And I don't for his entire career. I do know that I think he's only had 4 in his last 100 games. Now he's had 2 in his last 7 games, including his 40 NBA point outburst that he had against the Wizards. But he doesn't score, which is just wild. But the rebounds are going to be there. And again, at 25 is the arbitrary number. He's still going to get around 17 most nights. Right. But those would be the 2 I'm looking at.
I like that. Jared Allen, I'm going to land on a lot there where you can play him at power forward, 7,500. We've seen the kind of ceiling that's there. There's a boatload of minutes. There's going to be more usage up for grabs now, too, in the aftermath of Sexton being gone. I expect Lauri Markkanen. I expect some of these other guys. Evan Mobley's at 6,700. That's still, I think, playable. It's him and Scotty Barnes, Rookie of the Year contenders right now here at the moment for me. I don't think there's anybody else in the conversation. Kristaps Porzingis there, 7,100. Eventually, he's going to start playing 34 minutes here again. We can get there, but 27 and 26. I don't see those minutes trending up at the moment. That gets a little bit concerning. New Orleans, they did blow the doors off of them from what I remember at the end of that game, so maybe not reading too much into that. Jaren Jackson's maybe the most frustrating human being ever. Bobby Portis, 5,800. I expect that to be very, very popular, especially after another great performance tonight on this back-to-back. Playing big minutes, 5,800, probably the chalk of the position. So anything else to add? Oh, Aaron Gordon, 5K, play him.
No, I think we can get the centers and round this one out.
Look at that. Oh, well, we got to talk Yahoo power forward.
Oh, Yahoo, real
finish
quick.
That up. Giannis Antetokounmpo, $57, play him. Kevin Durant, 51, little too expensive. Julius Randle, $43, that's intriguing. Miles Bridges, 34, now you're talking maybe a little bit more doable. Evan Mobley, power forward, love it, $29. Appreciate them moving him over there. Scotty Barnes, $25 there. Power forward, another position where a lot of that great value is kind of in that mid-range there. And then whoever you end up getting to be in that starting lineup for Denver, obviously Aaron Gordon will be there, $22, but that's they almost knew he was going to get suspended with that number. Jeff Green, $14. I think that might be a spot to land a little bit as well, but that kind of does it for me on Yahoo. As you said, let's head to center and round this puppy out. On the top end on DK, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic going to be out more than likely here in this spot. He got suspended, I would assume so. Anthony Davis, you can play there. Karl Anthony Towns, 10-7, put up a 52.25, hit that crazy shot. 10-7's a little expensive, but center, if you're going to pay up, that's kind of one way to get different with it. But the true centers there, Christian Wood, Jonas Valanciunas over 9K, said that was coming. And then Nikola Vucevic, I don't know why he's 8,800, but he is. Talk to me about center here on the top end.
Yeah, I think Jonas Valanciunas, even at 9,000, is a good one going against OKC here. We mentioned Indiana. DeAndre Ayton still iffy here with the bruised leg. So if he's out, of course, we start looking at Kaminsky and JaVale McGee again. They have their nice matchup going against – excuse me, sorry, I was about to sneeze there. They have – and now I've – where'd he go? Who's
I don't know,
Phoenix
but
playing?
shout out to the NBA. The Clippers and Portland game already started, and it's 7:04 p.m., so props to them. Finally, they get these games going on time.
Yeah, thankfully, Phoenix and Portland. So Phoenix is an interesting spot there if Ayton continues to be out, and then Christian Wood gets to go back and see the team that gave him the longest leash and chance to do well and helped him springboard into his big payday. Is this a remember me game? I don't know, but it's a really good matchup going against the Detroit front court. So
yeah, I would agree with that. Thad Young's 5,800. Probably can't play Thad Young at 5,800 as much as it pains me to say it. I would like to. 26 and 25 minutes the last two. Give me 28, 30 minutes of Thad Young, and I can maybe play him on this slate. Probably can't do it still. That's a bummer because if he were to ever see the minutes, he's just such a smash in that mid-range. But going all the way down there, we already got news that DeAndre Ayton's going to be out. This is the JaVale McGee and Frank Kaminsky portion of the program. I feel like we've had this portion of the program way too damn much, but Frank Kaminsky up to 5K now on DK. I think people hit eject there. But 4,200 on DK. I still think JaVale McGee, who closed the last game, and now you're looking at Portland on a back-to-back with Nurkic being more than likely in that closing lineup. I think JaVale closes in this spot. I think he becomes a little bit more intriguing down there at 4,200. I bet he's a popular source of savings at the position, but for the most part, I don't know how many savings spots you'll need to find on this slate.
Agreed. So we hit Yahoo.
That's it. Yahoo in a second. Just, FanDuel finishing this up. Karl Anthony Towns, 9,800. That's way too low. JaVale, 8,500. That's super chalk. Christian Wood, 8,200. Love that play, but he's power forward eligible. Play him over there. Jared Allen, we talked about. Yusuf Nurkic is under 7K, but probably not for me there. Mo Bamba, 6,500. I bet he garners quite a bit of attention now that he, only played 23 minutes in that Utah game. 36.9, though. We know the kind of potential he can have there. There's really no other spot to really be punting other than JaVale McGee, 4,200 there. And Frank Kaminsky, 4,300 power forward center. If you want to take that dart there, that's the place to do it. Let's round it out with Yahoo. As you said, Nikola Jokic gone. Anthony Davis, $50. Karl Anthony Towns, 44. JaVale, not JaVale, but JaVale, $38. Christian Wood, 36. Top end looks difficult to pay up for there. Jared Allen, $29, though. That's a nice number. Mo Bamba, 26, doable. But yeah, moving our way downtown, I see Steven Adams, $17, but I don't want to do it. I'm over this guy. Who are you noticing at the center position?
Portis at 14, Kaminsky at 13, Drew Eubanks at 12. I think we look to punt at least one of these here on Yahoo and potentially utilizing the utility spot as a second center. Other values should appear, but on Yahoo we know there's been a couple other sites that have sort of done this before where they've made the center generally the best point per dollar position, and you have to make some intriguing decisions on what you're going to do. A day like today where there's 26 teams in action, utilizing two cheap centers and burning that utility spot could be a little costly. But if you put that Phoenix game or one of the Phoenix players as your utility option, you still have some viable outs with those later games if you're building it out.
I love that. And I'm going to go watch some basketball, I think, because we are through a 13-gamer. It was a marathon, not a sprint. That's probably the right way of putting it. Your wife would love this show. That's an allusion to the fact that she likes marathons and running lots of them and making you do them alongside. But you know what? That's what love is right there. Emac, round this out for us. Any final words for the people?
No, but are you with us one more day before you head on your wedding sojourn here, or is this it?
I got one more for you. I got one more Slate Starter. It'll be the last thing I actually recorded until I'm a married man. So that's fun to say out loud. Thanks to everybody for all the kind words, all the nice things that you guys have said about that. I'm looking forward to this weekend. I heard weddings are important, so I'm going to be there for sure. I think she might be upset if I'm not, so I'm definitely going to be there. And then I'll be back for one day, and then I'm going to Hawaii for a week. Can't wait. Looking forward to that as well. Good to have some time off, but that does it for us. We're all done. He's Emac. He's awesome. I'm Eric. I'm average. We'll see you later.